Good morning. Really good win for us Saturday. I thought we played with a lot of energy and had a really good week of preparation. Really excited about that. Offensively, did some really good things in terms of production, third down conversions, so on and so forth. But really excited about. I know Caleb is going to get named the Offensive Player of the Week. I think here shortly, and certainly glad for Caleb. I think he's really played at a high level the last several weeks. Excited about Josh and him being able to hit 1,000 yards. I think that's really good for him. He's obviously worked really hard, but it's also good for our O-line as well. O-line, tight ends, somebody's got to block too. So, it's a really good honor for all of them, I think. Defensively, made a few adjustments at the half. I give Georgia State a lot of credit. I thought they had a really good game plan and split us out and did some stuff with splits, and then brought actually the tight end inside, which is a pretty interesting deal, and flexed out some linemen and stuff. So I thought those were good schemes. But I think we made a few adjustments defensively and went to some bear fronts and stuff, and got a few stops in the second half. So that was good. Had a really good big play in special teams as well with Lawrence Shaw blocking that field goal. I thought at the time, it was 24-24. They took the ball the opening kickoff of the second half and drove back down there, and I thought that block was big because we took it down and scored and got the lead back, and thought that was certainly a big play in the game as well. So anyway, good win for us, and we're moving forward to Georgia Southern. They're 5-4 in the year. Really impressive games in there in terms of what they've done this year. Big win in App State. To go to App State and win, and to win the way they did was really, really impressive. And have played a tough schedule. When you look at it, they've already played LSU and Minnesota, two of the teams that were featured in the two games on Saturday and stuff. If you go back and watch the Minnesota game, Minnesota scored, but I believe it was 16 seconds or 17 seconds left in the game to beat Georgia Southern early in the year. But they have really good players. It's always tough to defend the option and to have a normal week. Last year we actually had an open week, so we had a little bit more time, but it's always tough to defend. Same guys, predominantly. If you look out there, Wirtz is still the quarterback. He still makes it all go. And plus, he's also a home run hitting threat at quarterback when he runs the ball. Wesley Kennedy's back. He's really the big play guy. When you look at it, he already has 8 touchdowns on the year. He's number 12. They'll do a lot with him. But really good player. And in this year, I forgot where he transferred from, but he's a grad transfer. J.D. King is kind of the bigger guy in there, 215, 220. He already has close to 600 yards this year. But, again, really good offensively, really efficient. And when they're executing and they're on schedule, they're really, really tough to defend by anybody. So, in order to defend them, we're going to have to sustain some drives. We're going to have to do some things offensively and, hopefully be hard to mimic. But last year we were able to score first and get up on them. We got up on them a couple touchdowns and then 3 touchdowns at one point, and it kind of changes their game plan a little, so to speak. Defensively, they're an odd front. If you just look at it, pause it from when the time they line up, it'll be almost exactly like Georgia State in a sense in the structure of their defense, but they move around a lot more than Georgia State did, plus they're bigger than Georgia State. Really impressed with 92. One of their D linemen, he's back. 36 is back. They have 2 guys in the secondary. They're probably as good as anybody in our league, and Brinson at corner and Duncan at safety. But 2 guys that they had last year, too. From what I understand, I think Brinson is already invited to the Senior Bowl. Really good player. On special teams, we got to be concerned with Kennedy. He already has a touchdown on punt return. And then Tyler Bass is back. He's kicked pretty much, the whole time I've been here. I thought he was done, but he's not. He's 14-22 on the year, but he's been an all-conference guy for several years to play. So really excited. It's a great opportunity for us. I think Statesboro is one of the places that I really enjoy going. Have throughout my career. I went here with ULM, and I think went 3 times to the place I came from. I think it's a really good place to play, to go into Savannah and then bus up to Statesboro, and they usually have good crowds and good atmosphere and stuff, so looking forward to it. But a really big game for us again. They're all big, obviously, at this time of the year, but this is certainly ranks up there as one of the biggest for us this year. So, any questions?
The seems as if Georgia State and Arkansas State kind of mixed and matched what they were doing offensively. What made Georgia State easier to defend than Arkansas State?
Well, they're really both very hard to defend when you look at it. Arkansas State also mixed the pass in more than Georgia State did. Georgia State pretty much, stayed with a lot of the run schemes and stuff, and Arkansas State was a little bit more 50-50. But both of them were equally challenging, no doubt. And running back the other night was really good. He was a good player, and like I said, they had some good schemes, kind of had us off guard there for a while, and they took advantage of it. But both teams were really good. And if you look at it, I believe if you look at the rankings and stuff and the production throughout the course of the year, both Arkansas State and Georgia State are up there.
You mentioned having the extra week last year to prepare for these guys. Obviously, that's a benefit just looking at it on its face. But going forward to this year, with the game plan you had last year, I'm sure they had time to break it down. But how much can you kind of take away from that game as you try to defend this option again?
I think we're going to take away, it won't be exactly the same, but I mean, we'll take some of the things and some of the things that how we approach it in practice and what we're trying to do and in terms of defending it. It's just a tough deal. I mean, you have to kind of, program everybody, and I think the thing with defending the option is you have to play assignment football. There's no doubt about it, but you have to keep your aggression. You have to keep, you can't just sit there and wait for it to happen and so hopefully we can come up with a good enough game plan. But I think we'll look back at, well, we already have. I mean, look back at, as soon as I finished with the tape early yesterday morning from the game, I mean, I immediately put on our last year's game. I always do that if I think they have the same coordinators and the same type of deal, and watch that, and then went to the this year's stuff. But the thing about option guys is they always have different things. I mean, anybody, Bob DeBest is one of the best in the business, and I found that out when he was the OC at Sam Houston, and then they probably could have scored 150 that first year when he was the OC at New Mexico when we went over there. I mean, they were running up and down the field on us, and but he's one of the best. But it doesn't matter if it's he or Paul Johnson or whoever it is. They always have some. They always have some wrinkles, and so they'll take the tape. I'm sure they'll go back and change a few things. And but like I said, the key, going back to last year, I mean, I have to take that into looking into it. Number one, we played really good. Number two, we got the lead on them, and that changes, sometimes the dynamic of it and how you're doing when you get behind as an option team. Sometimes that changes a little bit more than other than when they get the lead and they have the lead on you, and they'll just sit there and run the fullback, and they'll run the black until you can't, and just control the clock and all that. So I think that helped us last year in a sense that we got the lead. We scored the first, I think, 3 times we had the ball. That helps.
Getting a good look with your scouting.
Yeah, critical, no doubt. It's important, and we're started yesterday kind of putting guys in spots that we want, but that's very, very critical. We were fortunate last year. Isaiah Phillips played quarterback, and they did a really good job. And so anyway, yesterday we were searching for some candidates, and so.
Have you decided who the scouting quarterback?
We got it down to a couple guys. Everybody thinks they're a quarterback. So when you ask them a couple, oh yeah, coach, I can do that. I used to do whatever. But probably the right now the favorite is Chandler Whitfield. That's probably the guy that we have kind of pegged. But like I said, you can't just go ask them, hey man, you think you can play quarterback? They all can. You know what I'm saying? That's a given. That's like asking if they're good in basketball. They all think they were at some point. Or they can hit in baseball. Oh yeah, I used to. So I kind of waded through some of that yesterday. But like I said, right now the odds-on candidate because of his ability to handle the ball and his speed, because Wirtz has some speed too now, and so does Whitfield. So right now he's the early favorite coming out.
Georgia Southern, 4-game winning streak snapped. What was the biggest issues they had against Troy?
They got behind, and I give Troy a lot of credit. Troy had a really good game plan offensively, and really threw it. I mean, really threw the ball early in the game. Again, a lot of the same scenario. Troy got up on them and kind of got them in a hole there, and they had to play catch up the whole game, but which they never got in a hole against App. They control the time of possession. They control the number of snaps. They control the whole game against App. And if you look at some of those games that they won, that's That's what they like to do. They were doing it against Minnesota. I mean, they had Minnesota, and they had a couple wrinkles. But the interesting thing, and I wish I had more time, because I love the offensive part of it, and I wish I had more time to. But what's interesting, I started trying yesterday and then last week of piecing it together. But what I'm going to do at the end of the year, I like watching option people and watching them week 1 all the way to week 12 or 13 and watch how they evolve, because it's interesting how they change things as it goes. And, they don't, the good ones like Coach DeBest. I mean, they don't just zero in on one thing. I mean, they'll, change techniques where they're reading this guy, and then the next week they'll read that guy and influence that guy, and then they'll evolve formation-wise, tackles over, end over, all kinds of different things. But it's pretty interesting to watch. And I did that last year with Georgia Southern, and I'm going to do it again. I enjoy watching them evolve.
Brandy's Baptiste, did he,
We think he'll be back out tomorrow, and we'll see. He came back and played 3 plays in Arkansas State game, and turned his ankle again, and it swelled up a little bit again. And so, last week was pretty much another rehab week for him, and we'll see.
People may not realize too that this series has got a little bit of history to it. Going all the way back to when this program was in FCS, and obviously Georgia Southern was too. And you've been to Statesboro before, like you said, multiple places, and that's kind of a tough environment, but should make for another good opportunity for you guys.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's a great place to play, and there's been times, and when we went our first year here, they had won the first couple games, and I think they were 2-0 when we went, and it was a night game and great atmosphere. Of course, the times that I went, when I was in Lake Charles, well, I think one of them was a regular season game, but you go in the playoffs. I mean, it was on now and stuff, and but I think it's a really nice place to play, and just a cool setting and everything, and usually you're playing against a really good team too when you go. So this is no different.
Elsewhere on the injury front, is anything else going on right now?
I think right, we're gonna have to look at Roy Williams right now, because he came out of the game. So we'll have to see kind of where his status is. But he had hurt his shoulder the other night in the game, and we were talking about it this morning, and it's just he's kind of got to get out there and see what he can, how he can move and stuff. And but like I said, I mean, some kids, obviously, they're hurt, or if they went back in and played a half, then then you project it and they'll be back. But in the cases like Roy and some of the guys like Brandius, I actually have to visually see them on Tuesday. Because you watch them rehab and you watch them do some things, and they tell you they feel good, and they get out there, and you kind of, he looks another week away. Because in my opinion, if you're ready to go, well, then we want them to be able to go through team stuff and compete and do some things like that. I don't want to put a kid out there that can't defend themselves. So it's kind of what I look to see. And I know sometimes I sound evasive with the injury stuff, but I really got to take a look at them Tuesday. And if you have an ankle or something tomorrow, I saw the highest 41 with like a 10 to 15 mile-an-hour wind. So you get a good look at ankles and stuff tomorrow. Mine might be a little tight too. Ooh, I saw that. That's different.
Coach, you talked about crediting the offensive line with what Josh has done. Just with the way you had to shuffle the offensive line, that makes really what you guys are doing offensively pretty impressive. You can't say enough about them. For Eastwood to go to right to left, and Trace to move in, and Brandon move over. But the big key, and I think the reason we're still having success, is Sam Williams. Because he was the guy that was the sixth guy, and him coming in at right tackle, he's done some really good things this year for us. And but I think Eastwood had actually had played left at some time in his football career, not here. And I think Trace moving in is moving in the guard is a little different. Brandon moving from left to right, but it all worked out, and it's all been beneficial to us because of Sam. I mean, he came in, and he's really done some really good things there. So
Anything else for Coach?
appreciate it. Thank y'all.